Today we talk about laundry and a very intensive, water-intensive, time-intensive household tasks, which we are not often discuss in the wash sector. So we're happy today to share more about laundry and why we should talk about it. So once again, I want to welcome you all to this webinar, Clean Clothes, Clean Planet, Together for Laundry Transformation. Today's agenda is seen on the screen. We're now on the welcoming section where I am actually doing that. My name is Sandra van Soelen and I'm part of the RDWSN Leaving One Behind team. Today we have different sections in the webinar. We will start with opening remarks in a few minutes. Then we have two presentations to set the scene and to explain why laundry is actually a topic we should talk about. After these two presentations, we will have a Q&A section, so we can discuss some questions that you might have to the first two presentations. And then the second part of the webinar, we will have 3 innovation pitches. Actually, those are pitches that show solutions to the laundry problems. So to inspire you on what can we do differently. And after those 3 presentations, we have another Q&A section and then closing remarks. So it's a full program. And yeah, we're looking forward to sharing with you more about why laundry is an important topic in the wash sector, why it's important for the Leaving One Behind team, because it's often women and girls who are working on this. And we're also looking forward to hear from you on what are your ideas and how can we spend more time or put more effort on putting laundry on the wash map. Okay, so next slide. Without further ado, I want to introduce our first speaker, Tanja Huizer. She's a senior water resilience specialist at the Asian Development Bank, where she leads initiatives on water resilience, youth engagement, nature-based solutions, water food nexus, and resilient coastal cities across Asia and the Pacific. So she will share some opening remarks and also share with us why we should discuss laundry. Tanja, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sandra, and everyone who helped organizing this session. It's really exciting to be here. We're going to touch on laundry, as you said, really a forgotten burden worldwide. And I hope we have a chance during this session to work on innovations, discuss innovations, maybe policy reforms, and in the end, of course, also empowering women. Before I share my remarks to officially open this webinar, maybe it's nice that we see whether there is any laundry experts in the audience of this webinar. So let's go to our famous laundry quiz. As you can see, there are 4 questions we like to ask you to explore whether you know anything about laundry already. The first question is 3 billion people worldwide still wash their clothes by hand. Is it right or is it wrong? Please pick one. The second question is women spend about 8 or 9% of their active time on laundry. Is this right or is this wrong? The third question is that doing laundry has a negative impact on our water quality and in the end on our food systems because of the use of the water. Is this right or is this wrong? And the last question, the first electric washing machine was invented in 1951. Is this right or is this one? Electric one. So I just wonder if you managed to answer these questions right. And let's see what the average score is of the audience. Because we have quite some participants now. We're getting close to 100. That's great. I suppose we wait for another 30 seconds maybe, so that you have time to answer these 4 quiz questions. I think you can all read them and see them on the screen. Don't think too much. Don't Google it. Don't ask your co-pilot. Okay, I suppose let's maybe look at the results. You know, the questions aren't easy, but so what did you vote? These are not yet the right answers, right? These are just your votes. Let me have a look. Oh, a lot of people think 3 billion people, so not 13, right? It's question one, 3 billion people did their laundry by hand. We also have a majority thinking 8% or 9% of their active time will be spent on laundry. And let me see the other two answers. Oh, the fourth question, you're quite well spread. It's almost 50-50. Just let me take a screenshot because I want to compare it with the actual right answers. And let's go there now. The first question. The first answer to the first question. Can we go to the next slide? Yes, there we go. So actually, you were almost all wrong because many more, about 5 billion people, more than 50% of the world population is still doing their laundry by hand. Means we can make a huge impact if we start this laundry transformation together, because we cannot solve that by ourselves, I think. Let's go to the next question. Question number 2. Also wrong, actually, especially in places where access is limited to access to water. Women spend about 20% of their active time. So each of the stages of washing demands effort, right? From soaking and scrubbing to drying and folding. And it's more than 3 hours a day, so almost 3 full working days a week. And that's quite concerning, I think. Again, looking at your scores, majority was wrong here, as in wrong answer, not the correct answer. Okay, let's go to number 3. This is right. Unfortunately, actually. So besides the burden for people, for women, it has a huge impact on our ecosystems, on the water quality, particularly because of the microplastics from the clothing, as well as the detergents that are used. So they end up in our rivers, oceans, sludge, and in the end, even in our food and bodies. And then the last question. You were not really sure there, but the answer is wrong. It was way earlier than 1951. In 1908, the first electric washing machine was invented, called Thor. And at the time, they were speaking about a revolution. Manual laundry was really something that was on its way out. But at the time, was 115 years ago. And unfortunately, laundry is still a burden for many, many women. As said, over 50% of the people around the world. And the world's moving forward. So let's change that together with the people in this call and the audience participating. I think it's time to go to the opening, my story, which is actually not that exciting. But I think what is exciting is that you're all participating in the, I think we can say, the first ever global webinar on laundry. I think this is maybe the biggest global conversation we have on this topic. So you should be proud you're part of that. My personal story, I was born in the city of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. And of course, we had a washing machine at home from the moment I was a child. I don't know better than that. So laundry was actually, for me, not something I ever thought about. But it changed last year when I met with Frank van Steenbergen. He's working for GOPA Meta Meta. And he asked me a simple question. Have you ever wondered why so many people in Asia and the Pacific, because I work for Asian Development Bank in this region, still wash their clothes by hand? Well, actually, no. I never thought about it. Yes, I've seen it sometimes, but not really even observed it. So I think that's the case for many of you, although you now thought about it because you're participating in this session. But before that, did you really thought about it as a problem or a challenge? So the question stuck, and I discussed it with many of my colleagues here in the office in Manila. And each one of them had their laundry stories, talking about their grandmothers, their sisters, and how they also keen to drive change there. Really inspirational to me and powerful too. So I thought, let's do something with this. And together, we decided to work with Meta Meta and to ask them to do an inventory study. You can see the picture. One of these pictures is taken in Dili, Timor-Leste, and it shows that laundry is also way more than washing. It shows the health risk that people have. You even see the plastic small detergent bags floating in the river. So laundry is a very complicated, integrated and challenging topic to tackle, but there is also a lot of opportunities. It's all about dignity, about time, health, environment, and of course, business opportunities and innovation. So today we will explore this full picture, the needs and the opportunities for the people, for partnerships, for public and private sector. The study that Meta did it for ADB had the purpose to create kind of a baseline of research activities and developments on laundry so far, because there wasn't done any or much research yet, only very scattered. And the purpose is to help this laundry transformation to take off. So yeah, I'm really excited we have this session. Once again, welcome to everyone. I'm very happy with all the speakers working hard already to transform laundry globally. And yeah, I wish you a great session. Do not hesitate to interact, ask questions, and after all, connect with us so we can bring this further. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanja. This is really an inspiring way to start this webinar. And I already see a lot of comments in the chat box, so please keep them going and share your perspective on laundry. And I see already some tips coming in. Yeah, so continue that. Without further ado, I want to introduce our next speaker, Salma Enan. She is working as a program assistant at Meta Research. And she also was involved as a consultant, managing the ADB initiative on laundry. And her work focuses on looking into laundry-related challenges across diverse communities in Asia and the Pacific. And she will share a presentation titled Laundry, the Hidden Burden or Driver. So Salma, the floor is yours. And everyone, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box in Zoom. Thank you.
Hi, hello everyone. It's so nice to be here today talking to people from across the globe on the topic of laundry. Like Tanja mentioned, laundry is often like a hidden burden. It's something that not many people talk about. Even the people experiencing laundry in very hard conditions, for them, this is the norm. And we are here to change that, because it's not only about the hardship they face, but it also affects a lot of aspects in their daily lives that they might not see. So to start this presentation, if we can go to the next slide. Yes, with the study we did with ADB, we wanted to have more of a zoom out, look at the bigger picture of how laundry interacts with the different sectors like water, health, environment, and how can this affect the employment and even inspire innovations. So we looked at all those elements and then mapped them out and then dove deeper into each of them. So if we go to the next slide, we see that yeah, so when we start with the first aspect, which is water and environment, and it's one of the first things that come to mind when we talk about laundry, is that you need water to do laundry. And it's not only a water access issue, but also water quality. So how is the water quality affects the laundry practices, but also how the laundry practices affect the water bodies. So because of the detergents being used, and because of the disease vectors that get released into the environment because of water that goes untreated into the water bodies, all of this can have a negative impact on health. So not only health of humans, but also health of the ecosystem as a whole. So things in the detergents like phosphates that leak into the water, and then they can start leading to problems like eutrophication and the microplastics and the microfibers from the clothes and the plastic packaging of the detergents also do affect the ecosystem and can later affect the health of human beings, which take us to the next issue on the next slide, which is the health and hygiene. So the people doing laundry, which are mostly women, face the the hazard of being in contact with those clothes that are that can have like disease vectors. If you remember during COVID and how it was like you cannot handle other person's clothes, or the person that has COVID has to have their clothes washed separately. So it's the same with other diseases as well. And not only with diseases, but also putting your hand in water that might be polluted, or using harsh detergents to make sure that you clean the clothes properly, and all the scrubbing that you need to do. All of this affects the skin and affects the back of a woman that needs to do laundry in improper positions. So talking to the women, we learned that a lot of them suffer from skin issues and back and joint problems. And we wanted to confirm this also from the rural clinics and hospitals. So we talked to health professionals, nurses, and they were like, yes, we do see those kind of issues, but we never correlate them to laundry. We never document anything that this is a cause of improper laundry practices. So this is also a starting point, and this is why we're here today. We want people working in the different sectors to take laundry into consideration. So if we're talking about health, we need to document this. We need to have a baseline so that we can start improving. So this is if we're talking about household and we're talking about hospitals, because if we're talking about hospitals, it's not only about documenting the people that come, but what about the bed sheets? What about the towels that are being used in the hospital, where it's a place with a lot of disease? So if they don't have a secure source of electricity, or they cannot have a washing machine, how are those clothes being washed? And most of the time, it was being washed by washerwomen or people working at the hospital. So if we look at the next slide about the livelihoods. So some people make their living from washing laundry, whether for an institute or from other households. So people travel from rural areas, from peri-urban areas to nearby cities where they do laundry for other households. They earn very little amount of money, maybe as low as $7 per month per household for doing their laundry for the entire month. Also, but this is not a secure job, because if that household buys a washing machine, they are at a risk of losing their jobs. And sometimes like all those frequent washing causes them some health problems. They cannot continue working the same job anymore, and they lose their source of income. So this is a big issue, and it's not only the washing part, but also the materials they use. So we have on the left of the screen, you can see that there is a woman holding a detergent bag. And this is a woman that was doing laundry, and she couldn't find a detergent in the market that would fit her needs. So she decided to experiment and try coming up with her own laundry detergent that would work and be still not so harsh on her hands, so that she doesn't get blisters and skin problems from doing laundry. And then she developed that into a business model, where she started selling those detergent powders to the people in her village and nearby villages as well. So this shows us that there is a big supply demand issue. So if we look at the last part in the next slide, please. So the markets. So if we look at what is being available on the market, if we look at the equipment and if we look at the detergents, we see that there is a big gap. There are stuff that are available, but what does this include? Does this meet the needs of what the people use? Like if they have hard water, if they have turbid water, the detergents need to satisfy that to be able to work properly. But what we found is that mostly that people go for affordable options, and those affordable options that they can find in their local villages are not the best tailored to their needs. So even the ingredients, if we wanted to look at the ingredients that are there in those detergents, we couldn't find them, because they are not produced following regulations. They are just there to fill some, like, for people to buy because that's what's available. Also the equipment, if you don't have enough income to buy a washing machine, if you don't have a water source and electricity, you cannot get a washing machine. So this is why we took all of this into consideration, and we developed the laundry ladder. So next slide, please. this is how we see improved laundry practices can go. So if we look at the bottom rung of the ladder, we see that this is basic washing with whatever soap that is available and using slaps and beaters like we see in the picture. And we see that the very top of the ladder, we have the washing machines that are energy and water efficient. We have the improved detergents that can work with less energy, that don't have any chemicals that harm the environment. But what about the steps in between? So if we want to improve, people don't have to jump from step 1 to step 4 or 5, but we do have 2 steps in the middle. We have step 2 and 3. Some people that are there don't even know that step 3 exists. They only know that if they want to have improve laundry, they need to have a washing machine, but they cannot afford it, so they just keep doing laundry the same way they do it, and they saw generations before them do it. That's why there's no change happening. And this is why in this we have in the next section of the webinar, we have a lot of talk about innovations, about improved manual washing, and how we can have like solar soakers, hand operated machines, or communal washing for people to do laundry in a more dignified way, in a more safe way for them and for the environment. And if we manage to do this, we can look at laundry more as a system that is interconnected. So the last slide that we have, next please. Yes. So if we look at laundry as a system, that is like all those challenges that we have together and all the solutions that are a bit far, if we connect them together, if we look at the detergents and what the detergent companies have to offer and their channels that they have to deliver, and the R&D that they have, and if we look at the equipment and the innovations that we have there and how it can be tailored with the right service models. So if we're talking about washerwomen, how can we give them innovations that would make their lives easier and their income more stable, and how we can scale up the innovations that are there in a way that is sustainable for the innovator and also for the people using the innovation. And of course the water access, and how we can use how can we integrate the laundry solutions together with water access. So if we have a place where people go to collect water, what if we have something related to laundry next to it, so that we can ensure clean water for doing laundry and proper drainage, so that we ensure that the clothes are actually clean and the environment is not harmed. So looking into all of that, we can see laundry to be as a driver for change, not only a burden that nobody talks about, but a driver that we can all work together to make it an opportunity. So thank you so much. Yeah, next. Yeah, thank you. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the presentations and your questions that would pop up. Thank you.
Thank you, Salma, for this inspiring presentation and sharing the results of your study and to understand the different components that are linked to laundry. Please, if you have questions, feel free to use the Q&A box so we can come back to that later. The next presentation is from Dr. Amita Bhakta, and she will share on the laundry needs of perimenopausal women in the UK and Ghana. And Amita is also a co-lead of the Leave One Behind team at RWSN. And she's an urban planner, geographer, specializing in inclusion in low-income and middle-income contexts. And Amita has a PhD on wash needs of perimenopausal women at the Loughborough University, identified laundry as a hidden but essential need for women going through the menopause to support the management of their symptoms. So for Amita, we have a recording of her presentation with captions as she has a speaking impairment. So, but she's online, so please do put your questions in the chat box so she can answer them later. So yes, we can start the video for Amita.
Hello, my name is Dr. Ricky Bhatta, and today I'm going to talk about the laundry needs of perimenopausal women from the UK and Ghana. What is the menopause. The menopause is the transition period to menopause when menstruation permanently stops and the first 12 months afterwards. It usually happens to women who are aged in the late 40s and 50s. And symptoms of menopause which require regular monitoring include hot flushes, night sweats, heavy and irregular menstrual periods, and urinary incontinence, which is the involuntary loss of urine. So what are the origins of menopause women? One of the big issues is laundry for night sweats. As you can see from this quotation here, the form of saying that the surgical night sweats where she sweats a lot during the night had an impact on her laundry because she had to buy more duvet covers because she was changing them every night during the time and she couldn't bear the thought of sleeping in dried, sweaty duvet cover and that was horrid. There's also the of laundry for menstruation. Often because perimenopause women face heavy periods, it's severe in many contexts and it's gone out in other parts of the world, in Asia and across Africa and Latin America. So in this case, this woman was bleeding very heavily and she had to separate her search materials and the underwear that she was using at the time she was menstruating heavily and she was mostly in the belly area. And also, as you can see from the photograph image on the left, a lot of these clothes were done washing by hand and then no access to technology. When women wash blood-stained clothes in the bathhouses, as I said, it's very taboo. So what I found was that a lot of women actually use the foam from the laundry soap to cover up the blood in the water and on their clothes because it's so taboo. Another woman said that she would run extra water in the bathhouse that she washed them in because she had to wash away the stains that came from the blood. There's a lot of different things to consider. There are also many infrastructural challenges in laundry preparing for the women. One of the women I met said that she had a bowl, so she would put the bowl in front of her house and sit down because if she bowed, she'd feel dizzy and she had sight disorders as well, so dealing with us. There's also issues around root pain, which is to do with aging. So often women would say that they need a high platform in order to put a bowl on it and wash their clothes on a regular basis. So how can we make the mountain of available to food? There are lots of different solutions that we can use. First of all, we can think about constructing and building laundry facilities in the community. This can provide space for washing and drying of stained vegetable cloth and clothes, particularly because they can be quite heavily stained during the perimenopause. Building laundry facilities could act as spaces to provide support who find it difficult to do laundry. If these spaces are created as business within the community, it could provide a source of income generation, particularly for women who are of the menopause age and can find it difficult to find employment. There's also the option of washing machines. A lot of women I spoke to were facing difficulties in manual washing, as I said in the previous slide, due to aging weight and drink days. But of course, if in low-income countries we try to offer washing machines that run on electricity as we have in the global north, very changes around affordability and power. So good solutions such as those of the washing machine project and the other innovations mentioned in this webinar be the solution for supporting panel water. Another important thing is washing clothes with cold water and then with hot water. This is important because it helps wash out menstrual blood stains, but this should be important to complement cold water washing with hot water washing afterwards to make sure the bacteria is effectively removed. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation.
Thank you, Amita, for this wonderful presentation and sharing the perspective of women, especially women in their perimenopausal period. So now we have a couple of minutes for questions and answers. There are already questions coming in the Q&A box, but please keep them coming. And some of them are also being answered by our speakers, so you can also follow it yourself. I want to start with a question from Barbara van Koppen in the chat box. She is asking, shouldn't SDG 6.1 stop talking only about drinking water and instead talk about drinking and all domestic water uses that every human needs? So including laundry and food processing and cooking and bathing and cleaning houses and often sanitation. So I don't know if there's any of the speakers that wants to comment on this question. I think it's a valid point. Tanja?
Maybe very brief, Barbara. I think it's food for thought. I think it's great thinking. I also heard somebody earlier mentioning shouldn't be laundry part of wash, but the SDGs is definitely an approach to be looked into on a global level to see whether it can be placed somewhere. But food for thought. I'm inspired by your question. Thank you.
I would also say that due to this issue, it's also very hard to create action on laundry because in the wash sector, laundry is not really a topic, and so fully agree with the comment. And if that could be changed, then it might become easier for laundry to gain action. So yeah, important, I think.
Thank you, Maarten.
Maybe I would also add that it's something that is also very important in terms of the SWIR standards, which are used in the humanitarian world a lot. And that's something where laundry is also mentioned very limited. So that's something where I think we can also make a big change.
Yes, thank you, Ati. I think it's a nice contribution and maybe a topic we should all take along with us as wash practitioners, is to really do some activism to get the laundry on the map and also have some indicators or standards to be able to continue the discussion. Amita?
Yeah, obviously the especially covered around SDG 6. One thing that I found is that during the research I did, it was all about the rights of women to wash. And what they were saying was that at the basic level, they had not had their laundry rights met, so they identified laundry as an unmet right because it hadn't been discussed before, but it was shaping their everyday lives. You know, they were experiencing bigger loads, they were finding it harder to wash clothes, they were, it became an everyday reality because they were changing their clothes more, they were changing their bed sheets more, so they were washing more. So then that right to laundry became more pronounced and more vivid compared to before they entered the menopause. So that's a really interesting right to place perspective that I noticed particularly.
Yes, thank you, Amita. I think it's an interesting point you make that needs different groups of people have different needs around laundry, and women in the menopause.
The right space approach is key.
Yes, yeah. And I think
yeah.
also some questions came back around the hygienic components
Yes.
and of health centers and the diseases. So
Yes, yes.
yeah, interesting points. There are many questions coming in around innovations, and I will pause them for now because the second part of the webinar, we will share some innovations. So maybe some of your questions are already answered or you're inspired by some existing innovations. But don't worry, the questions will still be there and we will have time later to discuss it. I'm just thinking if there's any other question. There was a question around the social aspects of doing laundry. Let me see where it is. Have you considered the social aspects of groups coming together to do laundry by hand? Great to see these innovations, but how can we help replace the social aspects which will be lost? Is there anybody who wants to? Is it something that you touched in your research, Selma? Is there any answer you can give?
Yes. So it's something you hear people saying, like we enjoy doing laundry because this is the time we get with the family, but also because this is like it's context based. Like if this is the only reason people can get out of the house to talk with their neighbors or all of that, then okay, this is a social aspect, but it can be replaced with something else, or they can still like we can improve the laundry practices in a way that they will still get out of the house but go to a safe space where they can do laundry in a dignified way that does not hurt their back. They use safe water, they use proper detergents, like all of that. Like if they still want to do laundry together, like this can be a solution. But there's no one solution fits all, and not all people prefer doing laundry that way. Some people still prefer doing laundry in the house privately without having to take their clothes and do it with everyone else. So it really depends.
Yeah, thanks, Selma. And I think you also share there are many other components around laundry that are actually harmful for those women. So I think social aspect is important, but we also should think about the dignified way. The time, it's really time consuming as well.
Exactly.
So the time that women spend on laundry, they can also spend on other things. So yeah, definitely good to keep in mind the social aspect, but it's not, that should not be the reason why we should keep on promoting hand washing. I think, is there any question that you saw you want to answer in this part? Or shall we move to the next section? Amita?
Can I answer the next question live? Peter had a good question about recommendations for people doing it in private and positions that might come into water. One of the things that I wanted to say that often perimenopause women that I interviewed tended to do their laundry at home. And the reason for this was multiple. Firstly, because many of them were going through these heavy menstrual periods. They didn't want to reveal that taboo. So I wrote that to you in text, but the taboo is a big factor.
Yes.
But I'll write that to you.
Great, yeah. Nice if you can also write the answer down in the Q&A box, but good to know, yeah, you're sharing that some people do it in private because of the taboo, especially I think around maybe blood on the clothes. Many questions coming in. I think maybe, let's move to the next section where we have 3 pitches around innovation. So hopefully some of your questions will be entered and you will be inspired by what's already available. So the first innovation pitch will be done by Dr. Leonard Vlendrich, and he's the co-founder of Sola-Soca, based in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. And he initiated and developed a low-cost solar-heated washing machine, the Solar-Soca, to liberate women in Africa and Asia from physically stressful and time-consuming hand washing, just like the electric washing machine did for women in the Western world decades ago. And next to Solar-Soca, he's also working as Senior Research and Development Manager at Unilever. Leonard, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Sandra, and thank you very much for having Sola-Soca over here. Also present today is the other co-founder, Maarten van Herpen. If you have any questions on the business case, please do that in the Q&A. The other speaker just explained very well the challenges around laundry. I will focus more on the technicalities and start with a famous phrase of Albert Einstein almost 100 years ago, yeah? And he stated everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. And it's a phrase you can use for many things in everyday life. Yeah, you can also say an off-grid laundry washing machine should be made as simple as possible, but it should not be too simple. It should still be functional. Yeah, that is a fine balance. And to get that balance right, you need to have some understanding on the science of cleaning. And I will do a little crash course on cleaning in the next slide. There are actually three things that cleaning depends on. First of all, the time your garments are in contact with the wash water, the temperature, the higher the temperature, the better the cleaning result. The detergent, more detergent or better quality detergent gives you also a better result. And last but not least, mechanical action. Yeah, the rubbing, the more you rub, the cleaner it gets. And in 1960, the German scientist, Dr. Sinner, wrote a famous book chapter on cleaning. He took these four elements and he put them in a circle, which later became known as the Sinner's circle. And then he made an important statement. He said, you can change the size of each quadrant. Yeah, you can make it bigger or smaller, but you need to be sure that the circle needs to be fully filled to maintain the same level of cleaning. So if you make one smaller, you need to make the other one bigger. Yeah, and what does that look like for hand wash through the eyes of Dr. Sinner? Yeah, what you see is on the left bottom is that rubbing really dominates there. And that is really the tiring part about hand wash. Yeah, so what we did at Sola-Soca, we reduced that part as much as possible. But then Dr. Sinner says, wait a minute. Yeah, I mean, the circle needs to be fully closed. So increased detergents. We took a better type of detergent. Yeah, we made sure that the garments were longer in contact with the wash water. And we introduced temperature. And that we did by using the heat of the sun, just like a greenhouse that captures sunlight and turns it into infrared heat. Yeah, and how that is done, you can see on the next slide. Yeah, on the left, you see the Sola-Soca. It consists of three parts. There's the basin, a black basin. It has a water indicator so that people don't use too much water. That already saves quite a lot of water. In the basin is also a black foil. I'll explain in a minute what that is all about, and a transparent cover. And when you assemble all that, you get the system below. You create actually a little greenhouse. To the right is our instruction paper that comes with every Sola-Soca. So what you do is you place the system in the sun with the low side in the direction of the sun so that you have as little as shade as possible, so that as much as possible sunshine enters the basin. You fill it with water until the water indicator, you dissolve your detergent, and then you submerge your clothes. And then you take the black foil and you closely bring that in contact with the wash water. We call that the sun coupler. It makes that more heat is transferred into the wash water, and it also takes care that colored clothes do not get photo bleached by the UV light. Finally, you take the cover, put it on top, and as said, you have then a little a greenhouse. The system is then placed outside, and what then happens is just like a washing machine where you close the lid and press the button, yeah, you start doing other things. That's what washing machines are all about. So if it is good weather, clear blue sky, that takes about 1 hour. Temperatures go up to 40, max 60 degrees. If it is a rainy day, you need to leave it stand for longer. And you may say, yeah, but there's nothing moving. How can this system clean? Well, on a molecular level, things are moving faster. When the temperature goes up, water molecules vibrate harder. The ingredients of your detergent become more effective. And especially enzymes, they have a very clear temperature optimum. Yeah, when the temperature goes up, they become more active and they degrade better the stains. So after the soak, you come back, you wring and you rinse, and you hang them up to dry, and the procedure is then completed. Next slide, please. Now a bit about the pilots. Solar Soaker started in 2011. In the past 14 years, we did about 9 consumer studies in India, Kenya, Philippines, in Vietnam, Nigeria, in Uganda, and also in Kenya. And here 2 different business models are shown. On the left side, the laundrette model. There, actually, customers do the laundry themselves. We placed Solar Soakers near water centers, and there they purchase water, detergent, and they rented the Solar Soaker. And the shopkeeper, the shop owner there, was able to also advise how to do solar soaking best and supervised the soaking. Well, over a period of 2 months, yeah, we did about 422 washes. So at the end, we had some 10 users per day. The sales of the shop were increased by 60%. And what was nice was that because of the, let's say, low financial risk of getting in contact with the Solar Soaker, people got used to it. And at the end, they all wanted to buy one. Yeah. The laundromat model is a full service model. And we tested that in Uganda, in Kampala, at the Makerere University campus. And their students bring their laundry to Dobbies, which are professional laundry washers, to clean. And there we noticed that the number of washes were tripled in 1.5 months' time compared to hand wash. Yeah, people were very interested in this new way of washing. And it was also possible because the Dobbies were operating multiple Solar Soakers. Yeah, so they were loading and unloading Solar Soakers all day long. The users, the customers, they noticed that their clothes were cleaner, but also more fragrant, and that comes when the temperatures go up. Perfumes better partition into the fibers of your garments, and also it's a completely closed environment, so fragrances do not, let's say, evaporate into the air. The Dobbies, they reported less pain in hands, in arms, and in back. And at the end, they doubled their income, and we really created more decent jobs. The Dobbies said that they were mentally and physically less stressed, and they also took some pride in having this system. Then we also did some scientific testing, looking at the cleaning performance. We compared the Solar Soaker with hand wash and machine wash. We noticed that it washes better than hand wash and almost as good as the electronic machine wash. Time was reduced by 60%, water by 37%. These are not written in stone, these figures. I mean, it depends on the location and the habits people have and the availability of water. Another pilot was in Kenya with primary healthcare centers. There, nurses have to split their time between laundry wash and patients. So we put some systems out there so they had more time to spend with the patients, and we noticed there was very good removal of blood stains, and also that can be explained. The wash water heats up very gradually so that the blood stains are hydrated well, and when the temperatures go up, the enzymes become more active, and blood stains are proteins. They degrade the proteins, and at the end of the soap, you can easily flush them out. So that made us also think, yeah, we have a full plan now ready for thermal disinfection and the potential to see if at higher temperatures also disinfectants work better. And as Amit already mentioned, yeah, menstrual cloths and clothes, they can have blood stains as well. And this system would be very suited for that to remove these blood stains. Next slide, please. Then about the manufacturing, yeah, we work with local distributors and manufacturers. In every big city in Africa and Asia, you will find manufacturers that make these very cheap plastic chairs. I think you know them, these one-piece chairs, and that is the equipment we need to produce the solar soaker. People ask, how many can you now produce and what do they cost? Well, at the moment, with this line below, actually the two lines, the left one is for the basin and the right one for the cover, we can make 200,000 solar soakers per year, 500 per day. And the cost ex works, that means at the gate of the factory, varies around 10 euros per solar soaker. You can see the manufacturing team on the photo, and the solar soaker can also be stacked. And two of these stacks can be placed on a Euro pallet, and Euro pallets fits nicely again in containers, so they can be cost efficiently shipped. Next to that, we also do detergent testing and detergent development, and on the right, you can see the big 6-meter tall detergent mixer, that can produce 3,000 kilogram of detergent per batch, and use that to optimize a detergent. Next slide, please. So, as mentioned, while working on the solar soaker, always new ideas come up. So new research opportunities are there. Menstrual cloths would be interesting. Heat-aided disinfection, but also microplastics. Because there is less mechanical action in the solar soaker, you would expect that you, especially from synthetic clothes, where you by rubbing break off fibers, and then these are microplastics, less microplastic will end up in the environment. As said, solar soaker can now mass produce at low unit cost, and we believe that is necessary to finally become self-supporting and not dependent anymore on donations. We have now finalized our first phase, so that is the pilots and the scaling up to mass manufacturing. The second phase will be mass rollout, and that's another big challenge. You need to find the right business and financing models and distribution partners there to liberate women, girls, and also men from the burden of hand wash. So thank you very much for your attention. And if any questions, please let us know.
Thanks, Leonard, for the presentation. There are already questions coming in the Q&A box, so have a look at that. But it was very inspiring to see your innovation. So the next pitch is from Tirza Hall. She's working for a frugal design engineer for Practica, and she has a passion for innovation, affordable and sustainable solutions developed with the local community. And with her background in biomechanical engineering and integrated product design, she develops and tests the innovations for Practica. So she will share what Practica is doing around laundry innovation. So Tirza, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Sandra, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is indeed Tirza Hol. I represent Practica today, and I will tell you more about Practica's laundry concept. So we can go to the next slide and get started. So who is Practica actually? So we're an NGO, and we're based in the Netherlands, but we're also having a local office in Madagascar. And we focus really on R&D and technical assistance. So most in the projects, we are the technical partner. We work also with a quite large team of experts, not only in the Netherlands, but in Madagascar. But also, as you can see in the map indicated, quite some few countries in Africa and Asia as well. Next slide, please. So our mission and approach. So we are all about technology. As I look around and looking in the office, we are most of our team are engineers. So we're really about strengthening skills and tools, but we focus on low and middle income countries. All our innovations and all our portfolios, low income countries in rural settings. That means that we have to be practical and also affordable. However, we see that if we align those two elements, we also need to integrate this into a business model so that it can be self-sustaining after the project has ended. We can go to the next slide. We have 4 themes: drinking water, So working with rural water supplies, irrigation, also solar irrigation, sanitation. We're professionalizing also the services to empty latrine pits, and also in groundwater development. So how actually can you do manual drilling? What is a good site? And then we can go to the next slide. So why are we focusing actually on laundry? So we have a lot of projects in Asia and in Africa, and every time we visit, we hear certain stories about laundry. And these were confirmed when we had a really nice conversation with Meta Meta. And I want to highlight 3 things. So the first one is health. When we were, for example, going to Mozambique, every time we heard a story about a woman, okay, if there is a woman being killed in the village, or is there men being killed, men, it could be various reasons. But a woman, it was always the same story. A woman was being attacked by a crocodile while doing laundry, which is super shocking, of course. We in the Western world cannot even imagine this. So this came to our attention with the other factors. So also that we saw really shocking pictures of women that do laundry for a profession that have really severe skin issues because of it. Then we're looking at employment as well. We know many of the women are doing laundry, but also girls are starting at a young age. If they can do laundry, they can get a bit of income for the household as well. However, that affects the availability that they can go to school. Last but not least, we saw also environment issues. So the laundry detergents that they use, there's often not really a regulation for that. So anything can be sold as detergent. If it's good for the environment or for your own skin, that was not in the picture. So it had a great impact, much more widely spread than we actually thought about. Then we can go to the next slide. So what did we have in mind? Okay, we design products and innovations for rural communities in Africa and Asia. So that is our focus. However, we saw that we wanted to limit the amount of physical work. So no manual rubbing anymore. However, we thought, okay, we can do it separately, maybe. That the ring can be done separately. And then, of course, the last piece of the puzzle is create a local business. So if we go to the next slide, we have made a small first prototype. So this is a low, so when we start here at Practica, what you do if you have an ID is that you actually build a minimal viable prototype. So with the least amount of resources, you just build something to make sure, okay, does this ID even work? So the requirements were that it had to have a low energy consumption. We know that we calculated with 2 solar panels, together 800 watts, we can actually power roughly 8 of the washing machines I will show you in a bit. However, we also work in the water sector. So we know that water is very scarce. So that's why it also had a low water usage. And last but not least, we wanted to make a frugal design. Frugal means that you focus on the basic functionalities, like driving a car from A to B. That's the core functionality. The air conditioning and everything, the navigation that comes with it, that's out of the picture. We focus on what it has to do, and that is washing. So now we can maybe go to the video to get a sneak peek of it. Thank you. So this was the minimal viable prototype. And when we go to the next slide, you see the first results. So we have tested with different kinds of stains, oily stains, but also just sand and dirt. However, we need to verify also in the field what kind of stains will we actually encounter and in which context will different stains more occur. However, the first results looked very promising, so that's why we started investing more in this ID. And that can we see in the next slide. It's actually a community washing rule concept. So we see different elements. So first of all, if you look in the middle, you see the modular washing stations. So here we have drawn 8 of these washing stations. However, they don't have to be used at the same time. If more customers come, you can turn them on. However, it's of course a waste of energy to keep them running if no laundry is in it. So the idea is that someone in a community is taking care of the station. She is the one that is actually is in charge of the whole operator, like a manager. After the washing, which is powered by solar panels on the roof, I said we need 2 for 8 washing machines. However, there's also, of course, a water tank needed. So that means that it has to be placed nearby a water source. Lastly but not least, I said we also want to separate the washing and the wringer. So on the left and on the right side, you see a manual wringer that can be used after the washing. So the idea is to create a social hub where also other enterprises can maybe be established in the same space, so that people still have this community feeling and that other enterprises can thrive here as well. And then we can go to the next slide. So we want to turn laundry into an opportunity, because we see that women have time for income generative activities if they can lower their amount of doing laundry, because it takes a long time, resolve health issues, but also going to school, and of course create this opportunity in a potential business model for local entrepreneurs. However, we are still quite struggling with making this concept, or making actually this problem about laundry known to donors. So we try to also link it to other aspects. So for example, the productive use of renewable energy. We know that in Africa and Asia, there's a lot of sun, there's a lot of potential. So we can of course use this. Or maybe there's another way. Maybe we can link it to the multiple use of communal drinking water systems, like the hub I described. So different enterprises are establishing, so that we can contribute to a drinking water system that is sustainable, to create also enough revenue for maybe the drinking water systems to be operated. We see a lot in the field that drinking water systems are established, but the asset management part is quite still challenging nowadays. However, I hope with this community that we have here, and also other participants, that we can actually turn laundry into an opportunity and not have to link it to other donor engagements. So this was my presentation. Thank you all for listening, and I will try to respond as soon as possible to your questions in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tirza. If you have any questions to Tirza, please use the Q&A box and then she can answer those questions. The last innovation pitch will come from Ati Maurizio. She's a program officer at the Washing Machine Project, which is a social enterprise dedicated to easing the burden of hand washing clothes for women and girls in low-income communities. Ati manages some of the programs that ensure the delivery of the washing machines to low-resource communities worldwide in both humanitarian and developing settings. So, Ati, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sandra, and thank you for having me today. I'll be representing the Washing Machine Project today, and I think a few of my colleagues are also online. So if you have any questions while I'm presenting, feel free to post them in the chat, and then they can also support with responding to them. So I'll jump right in. So I'll be talking a little bit about who we are, what we do, and where we plan to go in the future, especially from a programmatic perspective. So the Washing Machine Project is a non-for-profit social enterprise that's based in the UK. And our main aim is to alleviate the burden of hand washing clothes, and through that empowering women. And we do this by providing remote low income and displaced communities with an accessible off-grid washing solution, which you see here to your left. So that's a manual washing machine that doesn't use electricity. It also uses much less water compared to hand washing, and it uses less time. So we call that the Divya washing machine. Next slide, please. So a little bit more around the problem, even though I think we're all already quite familiar with this. Washing clothes by hand is a time-consuming and physically demanding task. It affects a very significant amount of our global population. So we are talking of up to 50% of the global population that wash clothes by hand. And it disproportionately affects women and girls, resulting in lost opportunities in work, study, and rest. Next slide. So a little bit more on sort of the research that we did as the Washing Machine Project around the topic of laundry. So we focus a lot on time, water, and effort as key indicators that we measure. And we found that when looking at hand washing, women and girls spend up to 20 hours per week washing clothes, which is equivalent to 2.5 working days. So a very significant time burden that's associated with hand washing clothes. Then in addition, they spend an average of 50 liters of water per hand wash. And in some contexts, a significant amount more than that. And then finally, also a very significant physical burden is associated with hand washing clothes, which ranges from joint pain to skin irritation to neck and back pain, as well as injuries while washing. Next slide. So a little bit more on how we work as the Washing Machine Project. So we work in different modalities. One of the key modalities that we work in is community-based solutions. So these are washing machines that we distribute in community settings, so that are being used by multiple households or multiple people. Examples of these are schools, women's groups, self-service laundrettes, or medical settings such as hospitals. Then there's also quite a few of our machines that are placed in individual households. So in that case, they are primarily being used by the female members of the household. Then in more recent years, we've started looking more into creating livelihood opportunities out of the washing machine. So a good example of that is laundrettes. I'll come back to that a bit later. And finally, more recently, we've also started looking more into market-based solutions. Next slide. So a bit more on who we target with the washing machines. We look at targeting large female-headed households when it comes to the machines that go into individual households. We also focus on households that have members or a member with a disability. And then we target children at risk of missing out on educational opportunities. And then finally, in terms of areas that we focus on, this has mostly been rural areas, but recently also we're looking more into urban areas and then low research medical facilities. Next slide. And this is a map that shows some of the countries that we've worked in so far. So you can see that we have quite a wide geographical scope, and we work in countries in the African continent, as well as a few countries in Asia and Latin America. And there are a few countries that we've recently started working in that are not on this map, such as Ethiopia. Next slide. So that brings me to our main mission, which is to impact 1 million people by 2030. So that was a little bit on how we currently work. And then the next slide. Just a bit on where we plan to go. So what we found is through research that we did ourselves, as well as research done by external partners, mainly academic partners, we found that laundry is a critical but generally overlooked missing key intersectionality. We also found that our machine can bring relief to the burden of manual washing, but it cannot shift societal norms surrounding washing alone. And in line with this, we found that the machine creates additional time to seek out other opportunities, but there is a need for opportunities to actually exist. So that's still a barrier. And with this in mind, we started thinking about how we can change the way we work a bit from a programmatic perspective. So in the next slide, I would like to show you a video of where we have tried to do more than just distribute a washing machine. And this is an example of a case where we opened a laundrette in Uganda. And the women that are part of this laundrette use our washing machine, but in addition to using the washing machine, they also received a training on business skills. And of course, the washing machine is not only focusing on relieving the time and effort burden, but also creates an income for these women.
The washing machine project is one of our partners. They reached out to us on how we can support this project. We are able to sit with them. We came up with a business plan. This business plan was developed by ProCentered, by these people, the owner of the project. We presented the plan to the donors, the washing machine project.
The group received a washing machine from the washing machine project, basically to improve in their washing. Long before the washing machine coming here, they would use basins and suffer problems like backache, having wounds, itches on the fingers and hands.
Kuba batuwayo ku tanka ne tufuna ku mazzi kati tuli kaweweevu kuba wetwoleza tuyinawo naye luli twayolezanga mu ttaka oba obadde okyakamulo kafisa olugoye lugudde mu ttaka ate obwo nabo bulumi bw'amaanyi.
Inside we have the skilling room. We have the machines in place, they are working. We got a person who worked on them.
Batuzimbirawo store nga wetumaliriza okwoza engoye z'abakasitoma engoye tuzitereka mu store zaffe n'ebintu bye tuba tumaliriza okukozesa. Washing machine eno kye tukoledde for sure oteekamu engoye n'onyoola kwegamba neekendeeza ku budde bunnandimaze nga nkyakola ki nga nkyayoza.
Bwe mmala ogenda okwoza ne nkomawo ne mmala emirimu gy'ewaka biseera byange eby'eddembe nga njijja njiga ekyalaani.
Sikyakkirira mmanga kukima amazzi oba sikyakima amazzi ku mataapu kubanga zaali za bbeeyi.
Their biggest issue was access to water for washing. So we were able to procure a 5,000 litre tank. We installed the gutters, everything is set.
Enkuba bw'eba etonnye ekituufu tanka ejjula n'amazzi n'enkola ki ne tukozesa.
We also constructed a washing bay where they wash from because the condition was not good. They would wash from the ground, clothes fall on ground, but today I'm happy to report that they have a washing bay that is very clean, cemented, where they wash from, and they can move their clothes to the hang lines.
So basically, right now, the project is starting with 3 areas: skilling, washing, and of course, ironing.
Twebaza omukisa ogwatuweebwa ate we batugasseeko skilling center eno ey'ekizimbe ate ne store mwe tutereka engoye z'abantu. Ekyamazima obulamu bweyongedde okukyuka.
Yeah, thank you for your attention. And if you would like to find a bit more information on us, the contact details and our website are right on this slide. And yeah, as the other said, I'll also be answering any questions you have in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Ati, for this inspiring presentation. I think all 3 pitches were quite inspiring, at least for me. And we have now a little bit of time for Q&A. Though there are many questions, so I don't think we can answer them all in today's session, but we definitely make sure we will answer them in the coming days. Yeah, I see everybody being spotlighted. I think one question that's coming back for all innovations is what is happening with the wastewater that is left over from the washing. So maybe we can do a quick round from the 3 innovations to quickly share if you thought about that.
What we notice is that, and let's say more in a household situation, this washwater is reused. So yeah, things you cannot imagine, but they use it, for instance, to wash the floors. Yeah, but that is hard surface cleaning. But also, what also happens is they clean the dog. Yeah, but with the solar soak, what they also do is, if you have a crusty pan, for instance, this water is used to. They put the pan in, they put it outside again, put it in the heat. The crust then, of course, come loose, and so they don't have to rub so hard to get their pans clean. So these are all a bit of examples of reuse. And then finally, it ends up in the environment. That is how it goes. And also, not only with these off-grid machines, I guess, but at least for the solar soaker, but also with hand wash, that is what is happening. Yeah.
Thanks, Leonard. Tirza, you already thought about that? You mentioned irrigation, right?
Yeah, so we have quite some, we have 4 portfolios, and what we always do is we try to link them. Since we're already in the water portfolio, we have, for example, also a fully mechanical system you can attach to a hand pump, so that people start also paying for water in rural communities, so that there's a collection, and that this collection can be used actually for the cost of the maintenance, to cover the cost of the maintenance. For washing, you need, of course, laundry. So there's a whole strategy behind it. So to link this, either the pipe systems or the hand pumps to the washing station. And since we're indeed also in irrigation, we wanted to use it for irrigation purposes, because we see that there's quite some phosphor in laundry detergents, and that is actually one of the 3 components which you can find actually in what's the word again?
Fertilizer?
In fertilizer. Thank you, Sandra. So yeah, that would be a really nice combination. However, this is an idea, so we will do a pilot, and then we will actually get results to see if this is possible. But that would be a very interesting thought.
Thanks,
you.
Tirza.
Yeah, and from our side, I think we try to do more and more research to understand how grey water can be used. What we found so far from the impact assessments that we did is similar to what Leonard was mentioning, that people use it to sweep the floors, to even water their plants, to flush their toilets. I think a lot of the uses they have are similar to the ones they already had when they were hand washing clothes. But generally, we're definitely looking more and more into how we can save water in general, also thinking around rainwater harvesting and those type of solutions to have even more water savings than we already have with the washing machine.
Great, thanks. I think also nice to mention that, we're still innovating around this topic. So I think, these innovations are solving some of the issues around laundry, but I think we're also still looking into the full cycle, so also the environmental impact and the water use, and well, it's work in progress, I would say. There were many questions coming in on the solar soaker and how these can be accessed. So maybe, Leonard, can you briefly mention how they can get in touch with you and how you can upskill to other countries, perhaps.
Yes, well, as said, I mean, scaling up, what I already said, in many big cities, you have the facilities, yeah, where a mold for the solar soaker can be placed and where we can produce. So that is, at the moment, that is in Kampala, but it is not limited to Kampala. But of course, yeah, that requires an investment in the mold and also mass rollout. Yeah, there's also budgets involved before you get everything, yeah, running. So in Kampala we can have production, yeah, and we also did, but at the moment we are not rolling out there. Yeah, we simply lack the means at the moment to roll out. It's a bit hilarious. Yeah, we are ready to go, but we don't have the budget to start. However, if anyone is interested, yeah, to buy a number of them, we can produce them and we can deliver them. But we are looking into this now in this problem, of course, yeah, to get this thing going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe adding the types of partners we need, because we can produce them, but we need that partner for the local rollout, is partners, for example, that work with women saving groups or church groups. That's if you're an organization like that you can really help us in reaching people. Or if you have door-by-door sales people that could sell solar soakers and detergent. Or if you work with Dobby washers, if you really care about that, because this is really tough work, people that do laundry for other people. If this is your target group, then here we have an innovation that really can help. Also, people interested in the healthcare side, the disinfection performance that you could improve. That's an area. And finally, also donation-based solar soakers, or I think this counts for all the laundry innovations here, are also something you can distribute through donations, and therefore you need grants or donations from people so that our organizations can give them to other people. So those could be ways to help.
Yes, I'm really sorry. We're running out of time. So I want to finish this round of Q&A with a short round for all speakers to give a 30-second maximum final remarks. Ati, can I start with you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, first of all, thank you all for listening. And we're always, similar to what others were saying, we're always looking for people to collaborate with. So feel free to get in touch with us. And yeah, very much looking forward to tackling this problem together through these type of webinars and other initiatives.
Thanks. Tirsa?
Thank you so much for all your time. I love to see all the presentations, what's actually happening in this sector, where everybody is going. I see the research is super important for us to make the innovations. Where do we actually want to focus on? But also we need, I think, different innovations because there are so many contexts. So there's indeed no solution that fits all. And yeah, it would be amazing to see what's going to happen the coming years. So thank you so much for all your time.
And Leonard?
Well, absolutely great to have sessions like this. I mean, for many, many years, there was nothing. There was no attention for this topic. Yeah, and it really did not fit anywhere. I mean, for the solar soaker, it is not PV panels or electricity. It fits maybe under women empowerment, but yeah, they mostly focus on other topic. It doesn't fit in WASH directly. So it was really a big search until Metameta and ADM came up and started this in Stockholm, and now that is spreading. And so very important that the topic of laundry hand wash is heard and that it will grow, and it's such a big opportunity. So we really hope that there will be more new ideas on laundry hand wash machines, because there's plenty of room.
Thanks, Leonard, and thanks all the innovators for sharing your innovations with us and inspiring on potential solutions. Well, with this, we come to the end of the webinar, and I want to give the floor to Tanya to have some closing remarks.
Thank you again, Sandra, and it's exciting to open and close the session. I have been hearing a lot of very interesting innovations and insights as well. Maybe let me just very briefly summarize that for you. I saw a lot of questions, crucial questions that are not easy to answer, but important to look into as well. And I think to address, to make a change by all of the participants and presenters in this group. Laundry is just an ordinary, invisible task at the moment, and particularly in policies. That's what I learned from the audience. Meta, Salma reminds us that it's also a gateway to innovation, gender equality, and water resilience. Every wash is a chance to change lives. I was very inspired by Dr. Amita, who opens our eyes on the laundry needs of perimenopausal women. It's a powerful example, I think, what she shared, and why wash solutions must be inclusive and sensitive to life stages and health. Laundry is all about dignity. Then we get the Solar Soaker with the solar-powered laundry innovations. I think simple, brilliant, and very transformative. These solutions, as presented by Leonard, double incomes, they save water, and they liberate women from this physical strain. So I think excellent idea. Practica shows how local entrepreneurs can turn a daily chore into a business opportunity. Low cost, energy efficient laundry stations, they don't just clean clothes actually. They can test combinations, even for irrigation purposes, I just learned. So Practica cleans up poverty, protects the planet, and even support our food security, hopefully, if the pilot turns out successfully. And then the washing machine project. I think their off-grid washing machines are really rewriting futures for tens of thousands, freeing up hours for work, rest, learning, especially for women and girls in vulnerable communities. A lot of inspiration. And what I learned from the participants in the audience, the truth is, access to safe water is the foundation. Without it, laundry and broader wash girls remain out of reach. So although laundry may be seen secondary, it's fundamental for health, dignity, and gender equity. Then there is a lot of discussion in the chat as well about the SDGs and a lot of potential there, policy conversations and so on. We definitely should explore that. I'd like to touch on the fact that there is a UN Water Conference coming up end of 2026, and let's put laundry on the agenda there. And then lastly, what we see on the screen is the brochure that was developed by Asian Development Bank in collaboration with Meta. The research is actually summarized in that brochure. Let me also share it in the chat. I hope you all have read. It was launched in Stockholm World Water Week last August, and we like to invite everybody to connect with us, not only Asian Development Bank. If you connect with the laundry transformation via the QR code, we'll make sure the whole team gets your contact details and your wishes to collaborate. And lastly, call to action. Share your stories, your laundry stories. Take a few pictures, write it down, and join us in the photo contest. It's a global contest from Africa to Asia to Latin America to Europe. Everybody can join. You can win prizes, and the deadline is 7th December. So that is your first call to action. Please connect with us and share your stories. Thanks a lot, Sandra, and everyone who participated in this session.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you for all speakers. It was an amazing webinar. We had so much to share, and definitely the questions, we will take them with us. And this was just the first webinar in a series. So there are more coming up. You can see them on this slide. You can look at the RWSN website for more information, and we hope to see you in the next webinars in the coming weeks. And once again, thank you all for joining, all your questions and all your comments. It was very valuable. Thank you all the speakers. Thank you RWSN for organizing. And we hope this will be the start of a London transformation. We have to do this together to make a change for women and girls in the whole world. We shouldn't wash our clothes by hands anymore. Thank you so much and have a good day.